The night enveloped us in its inky embrace as we ventured forth into the heart of the cemetery, its ancient tombstones looming like silent sentinels in the darkness. With each step, the crunch of fallen leaves echoed through the stillness, punctuating the eerie atmosphere that surrounded us. Our journey into the realm of the dead was not born of morbid fascination, but rather a youthful defiance of tradition on the eve of Halloween. Instead of partaking in the customary ritual of trick-or-treating, we sought adventure amidst the solemn serenity of the graveyard, unaware of the spectral presence that lurked in the shadows. As we trespassed into the sacred grounds, a palpable sense of unease settled over us, amplified by the distant hoot of an owl and the rustle of unseen creatures in the underbrush. Yet, fueled by youthful curiosity and a sense of invincibility, we pressed on, our hearts pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. It was amidst this eerie backdrop that we first heard the haunting voice, a disembodied whisper that seemed to echo from the depths of the tombstones. At first, we dismissed it as a trick of the wind or our overactive imaginations, but as the spectral words grew clearer, we could no longer deny their chilling reality. The voice claimed to be that of a departed loved one, its ethereal tone tinged with sorrow and longing. For Aaron, whose mother was battling a grave illness, the voice struck a chord that reverberated through his very being, stirring emotions he had long sought to suppress. As the voice wove its ghostly tale, Aaron's facade of stoicism crumbled, replaced by a raw and visceral anguish that threatened to consume him. With tears streaming down his face, he confronted the unseen presence, his voice trembling with a mixture of grief and rage. But then, as if mocking our vulnerability, the voice dissolved into laughter, a cruel, mocking sound that reverberated through the darkness. And as the laughter echoed around us, a figure emerged from the shadows, a familiar face twisted into a sinister grin. It was the neighborhood bully, his eyes gleaming with malice as he reveled in the chaos he had wrought. Yet his cruel prank would soon escalate into a tragedy none of us could have foreseen. In a moment of unbridled fury, Aaron lashed out, his pent-up emotions exploding in a frenzy of violence. The bully, caught off guard by Aaron's sudden onslaught, was no match for his ferocity, and soon lay battered and broken at our feet. As the gravity of what had transpired began to sink in, we were consumed by a sense of horror and disbelief. Desperate to conceal our dark secret, we concocted a macabre scheme to hide the evidence of our misdeed, a task made all the more harrowing by the weight of guilt that hung heavy upon our hearts. With trembling hands and heavy hearts, we disposed of the body, each action a testament to the depths of our depravity. And as we watched the lifeless form disappear beneath the murky waters of the nearby pond, we knew that our lives would never be the same again. For Aaron, the burden of guilt proved too heavy to bear, driving him into a spiral of isolation and despair from which he would never fully emerge. And as the years passed, the memory of that fateful night would continue to haunt us, a specter of guilt and remorse that lingered in the shadows of our consciousness. In the end, we were left to ponder the sinister twist of fate that had forever altered the course of our lives. A grim reminder of the fragility of innocence and the darkness that lurks within us all. The old cemetery, shrouded in the velvety embrace of the night, stretched across the landscape like a forgotten realm of the dead. Moonlight filtered through the gnarled branches of ancient trees, casting long shadows that danced among the tombstones like spectral phantoms. A group of intrepid explorers, their hearts pulsing with a mixture of trepidation and curiosity, had gathered at the cemetery gardens. Drowned by whispered tales of ghostly apparitions and restless spirits, they embarked on a journey into the heart of darkness, their footsteps echoing softly against the cold stone pathways. As they ventured deeper into the graveyard, the air grew thick with an oppressive sense of foreboding, and the rustle of leaves seemed to echo with the whispers of the departed. Yet, undeterred by the eerie atmosphere, the friends pressed on, their lanterns casting flickering shadows that danced across the weathered tombstones. It was then that they first caught sight of her, a spectral figure cloaked in mist, her form illuminated by an ethereal glow. She drifted among the graves like a wraith, her movements graceful yet haunting, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. At first, the friends stood transfixed, their hearts pounding in their chests as they watched the ghostly apparition glide silently through the cemetery. But as she drew nearer, they felt a chill creep into their bones, and a sense of unease settled over them like a heavy shroud. With trembling hands, they reached for one another, seeking solace in their shared fear as the ghostly figure drew closer. Yet, despite their growing apprehension, they could not tear their eyes away from her mesmerizing form, her presence both beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. And then, as if in response to their silent prayers, the air around them grew thick with the whispers of the dead, a chorus of anguished moans that seemed to emanate from the very earth itself. It was a sound that sent shivers down their spines, filling them with a sense of dread unlike anything they had ever known. Terrified, the friends attempted to flee, their footsteps echoing loudly against the cobblestone paths as they raced through the cemetery in search of escape. But no matter how fast they ran, the graveyard seemed to stretch on endlessly before them, its twisting pathways leading them deeper into the heart of darkness. With each passing moment, their fear turned to madness, their minds clouded by visions of the undead and the unknown. Shadows danced at the edges of their vision, and the whispers of the dead grew louder, filling their ears with a cacophony of sorrow and despair. And then, just as they thought they could bear no more, they stumbled upon a forgotten mausoleum, hidden amidst the overgrown foliage, a crumbling relic of a bygone era, its stone walls etched with symbols of death and decay. With trembling hands, they pushed open the heavy wooden doors, their hearts pounding in their chests as they stepped into the darkness within. It was a place untouched by the passage of time, a sanctuary for the restless spirits that roamed the cemetery in search of peace. As they explored the depths of the mausoleum, they uncovered secrets long forgotten, ancient relics of a bygone era, hidden away from prying eyes for centuries. Yet, even as they marveled at the treasures that lay before them, they could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. And then, as if in response to their silent prayers, they heard her voice, a soft, melodic whisper that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the mausoleum. It was the voice of the ghostly apparition they had encountered earlier, her words filled with longing and sorrow. She spoke of a curse that had befallen the cemetery, a curse born of greed and betrayal, a curse that had condemned her soul to wander the earth for all eternity. And as she spoke, the walls of the mausoleum seemed to come alive with the echoes of her words, their voices mingling with the whispers of the dead to form a haunting chorus of anguish and despair. With trembling hands, the friends sought to flee the mausoleum, their hearts pounding in their chests as they raced through the darkness in search of escape. But no matter how fast they ran, the shadows seemed to close in around them, their movements slowed by the weight of their fear. And then, just as they thought they could bear no more, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber, hidden deep within the bowels of the mausoleum, a chamber filled with ancient artifacts and forbidden relics, their power palpable in the air. With trembling hands, they reached out to touch the relics, their fingers tracing the intricate patterns etched into their surface. And as they did, they felt a surge of energy course through their veins, filling them with a sense of power and purpose they had never known. Yet, even as they reveled in their newfound strength, they could not shake the feeling that they were being watched, that unseen eyes were upon them, watching their every move with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the whispers ceased, leaving the friends alone in the darkness once more. With trembling hands, they sought to flee the mausoleum, their hearts pounding in their chests as they raced through the darkness in search of escape. But as they stepped out into the moonlit night, they realized that their ordeal was far from over, for the cemetery had claimed them as its own, binding their souls to its hallowed grounds for all eternity. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the friends knew that they had been forever changed by their ordeal, a harrowing journey into the heart of darkness that would haunt them for the rest of their days. The moon hung low in the night sky, casting an ethereal glow over the desolate cemetery as we ventured forth into its shadowy depths. Our footsteps echoed off the weathered tombstones, their inscriptions worn away by time and neglect, as we embarked on a journey into the heart of darkness. Our pilgrimage to the graveyard was not one of frivolous curiosity, but rather a solemn quest for closure, a chance to confront the demons that had long haunted our dreams. For among the crumbling headstones lay the final resting place of a dear friend, whose untimely demise had left us grappling with unanswered questions and unresolved grief. As we navigated the labyrinthine pathways of the cemetery, a sense of unease settled over us, amplified by the eerie silence that enveloped the night. Shadows danced eerily in the moonlight, their shifting forms a haunting reminder of the transient nature of existence. It was amidst this eerie backdrop that we first heard the whispers, a faint ghostly murmur that seemed to emanate from the very earth itself. At first, we dismissed it as a trick of the wind or our overactive imaginations, but as the whispers grew louder, we could no longer deny their chilling reality. The whispers spoke of dark secrets buried beneath the cold earth, of souls trapped in limbo, yearning for release. They spoke of a presence that lingered in the shadows, watching and waiting with malevolent intent. As we pressed on, guided by an instinctual sense of dread, we stumbled upon an ancient mausoleum hidden amidst the overgrown foliage. Its weathered facade loomed ominously in the moonlight, its crumbling walls a testament to the passage of time. With trepidation coursing through our veins, we approached the mausoleum, its yawning doorway beckoning us into the unknown. As we stepped inside, the air grew thick with the scent of decay, and the whispers grew louder, their spectral voices echoing off the stone walls. It was then that we saw her, a spectral figure cloaked in shadow, her eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. She spoke of a curse that had befallen the cemetery, a curse born of greed and betrayal, a curse that had condemned her soul to wander the earth for all eternity. As she spoke, the walls of the mausoleum seemed to close in around us, trapping us in a web of darkness and despair. With each passing moment, the whispers grew louder, their words a cacophony of anguish and despair. With trembling hands, we sought to flee the mausoleum, but the door had vanished, leaving us trapped in the suffocating darkness. Panic surged through our veins as we realized the true nature of our predicament, a fate worse than death itself. And as the spectral figure drew closer, her unearthly wail piercing the silence of the night, we knew that we were doomed to wander the cemetery for all eternity, a warning to those who dared to disturb the slumber of the dead.